Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a special episode of Codex Reviews. We are in the microverse. We are not having a Fury of the Gods. That movie's not out yet. We're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and it needs to be said this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review. So if you have not seen it, you've got about maybe a minute and a half to shut this off because we're going to be talking about some stuff. Before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, if you want to save 20% on some awesome comic books and create a pull list through previews, you need to go to heroescornercomics.com, use the keyword codex, no hyphen, at checkout to save 20%. And there is also an awesome codex bundle that you can get for $30, and it is all Heroes Corner Comics exclusive comics. Once again, 20% at checkout. Use the keyword Codex. Dan, we have a sponsor also. Who would that be?
That would be Dubby Energy Drinks. You can check out their website. I believe it's dubby.gg, and you can use the code CODEX, CODE-X, to get 10% off of your order. Yep, it's right down there below.
Right down there.
10% off your order. They have a couple different flavors you can get now, and they have a few more that are on pre-order that you'll be able to get soon. So all the guys from the station here have been ordering them and trying them, and so far the consensus is it's good stuff. It's a powder that you mix, and you can get a tumbler. You can get other merch. They have just a really awesome logo that would look great on a T-shirt for you to wear. It's a good energy drink. Tastes good. It doesn't give you the jitters. It's all natural. So go ahead and check it out and use the Codex to save 10%.
There you go. All right. Now that the business is out of the way, this is your last chance, guys. This is spoiler heavy in 3, 2, 1. Dan, Quantumania, bud. Let's go ahead and talk about this.
I liked it.
All right.
There's good, like every movie, even the best movie, there's stuff you like and there's stuff you don't like. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man is great. He does a good job of balancing action and and comedy and like good acting scenes. Like I really like the interaction, the stuff with him with his daughter, where where she's got where he finds out she's got a super suit now, and she has the
You've got a suit? Where'd you get a suit?
and she's got the shrinking ability, and and then when they go into the microverse, how he's trying to balance, like I'm being the super, like in the comics, like I'm trying to balance being the superhero with the fact that I have this daughter, and and then now she's a superhero and I have to, help out with that. It's just it's a really good dynamic, and especially his daughter too, Cassie, with Hope and with Hank and Janet. Like I caught early in the movie before they got down to the Quantumverse, when they're all sitting there having the family dinner, how she refers to Hank as grandpa.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was interesting, because I was like, at what point would that have happened? Because he was someone that was blipped right alongside everyone else. So it's not like, all right, everyone, they were all blipped except for Hank and her, and he helped raise her for all those years. Like, so he was gone, and she essentially didn't really have a relationship with him until they all came back. So,
well, I think that might have come around because, like, we're led to believe that Hank and Scott's daughter, Cassie, have been hanging out for quite a bit, or at least a lengthy amount of time, and I think that type of relationship could have developed during that. Her calling him grandpa and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting thing, like that. That it's just showing how close the family is, because it's Scott and Hope, are dating, and then Hank was kind of the mentor, but now, like, with Cassie and him, it's it's like really all becoming, by the third movie, they're all really becoming a family.
Yeah,
I thought worked really well too.
Let's talk Jonathan Majors.
Oh, he was so good as Kang. He was fantastic. Of a movie with a lot of good actors in it, I thought he was the best performance wise and everything. Like he had that threatening presence without having to really be over the top with it at times. Like when he was talking to Scott and he's like, "Oh, I killed so many Avengers. I can't keep track of you. Like, are you the one with the hammer?" It's funny, but at the same time, it's like so low key threatening that he's
Yeah.
just like so dismissive. Like you're showing like you're nothing to me. Like I've killed so many of you, I can't even keep track of you anymore.
Exactly. Jonathan Majors as Kang. What he did in the first season of Loki, like what he did there versus what he's done here in Quantumania really shows the versatility of his acting. And it is like a complete flip. Like
Yeah,
he was the mad borderline insane timekeeper in Loki, and in this he is every bit as powerful as he portrays his presence on screen. And most of the time his voice never raises above a stern tone, but
yeah,
when
not
it
to like
does,
the climax.
yeah, but when it does raise, by God, he just unleashes.
Oh yeah, and his costume was spot on too.
Perfect. I
So good. It looked so good.
Yeah,
And the way
I
they did the mask with the blue, where because I was wondering like how are they going to do that? You know, because in the comics, like it's a mask that's a full face covering, so
mhm.
you don't really see any facial movement. But like the way they did it was just perfect, and how they had the lines, like how they were scars on his face, just
Now, did you notice that when the mask went away, his eyes still stayed blue for a second or two longer?
I did not notice that, but I will
Yeah.
look for it next time I watch it.
Next time you watch, look
Yeah.
at him and you'll see his eyes stayed blue for a second or two longer before that went away.
Uh, what I was gonna say, one other thing I liked about it too is I know they couldn't use the Micronauts because they don't, even though they, published the Micronauts comics, they don't
Yeah.
have the rights to it. But clearly, they had the stand-ins for who the Micronauts would have been. I don't think they really even gave like the group of characters like a name, but
Mm-mm.
it was clear like, all right, these are kind of like these rebel superhero freedom fighters that are in the
Yeah.
microverse, like if you're it's something where if you're not a fan of the comics it's just like all right, whatever, but like if you were a fan you kind of get the idea like okay, this is who
N-
the stand-ins were going to be, and
Now the
who knows,
guy with
10
the
years down the line maybe they get the rights to the micronauts and they're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're just going to have them be part of them.
Now the guy with the big thing on his head, or that was his head that shot the beams out, what was his name?
I don't remember, but he was awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up while you tell me how you felt about Bill Murray.
I I had heard, I'm a big Bill Murray fan, and I had heard that he was going to have this cameo in it, but honestly, I just thought that it was kind of wasted. Like
You
I
think
didn't.
so?
I mean, he comes on screen, it's like, oh, cool, it's Bill Murray, but then after that, the scene that he does, I was just kind of left feeling like anybody could have done this. It wasn't anything that like really played to his comedic or his dramatic strengths. The scene wasn't that long. Um, it
Yeah, it
was
was kind
essentially,
of a one and done.
yeah, like, and then he never shows up again. I mean, I guess technically he could show up they could find a way to have him show up somewhere down the line as something, but to me it was just kind of, all right, we're gonna have Bill Murray in this little role just to say that we have Bill Murray there, but to me it could have been anyone. That was something that I didn't like about it. I thought the special effects were pretty good, but were really good, but there were definitely some scenes here and there where I could tell, you could tell that it was like on a green screen, where it has that kind of faint outline.
Yeah.
It was only a few times, but and after I saw the movie, I read something that they had taken some of the budget, or it's the special effects budget from this, and has used it for, I think it was Eternals, to get that done. And I was like, all right, well,
Oh
that kind of,
wow.
I mean, I think it was that one, but I was like, all right, I mean, that, I guess I could believe that because there were those couple scenes that just felt a little off compared to the rest of it. Not all of it, like maybe 3 or 4%, but there were a
Yeah.
couple of spots it was noticeable. Like I said, I really missed Michael Pena in it.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have him, even if they had just thrown him in for like a little spot, just like 2 minutes, where he's like talking to Scott while they're walking down the street, or like while he's at, accepting his award at the Baskin Robbins or something.
Yeah.
Like just a little taste of something. Like, they had the scene where he's sitting there with Jimmy Woo, and Woo doesn't say anything. They just kind of get their picture taken, but like, but something.
Does the magic trick, shows him the card.
Yeah. I thought MODOK, I hear a lot of fans complain online, like, oh, they changed MODOK too much, this or that. And
This is the
like,
rest of the review right here is MODOK.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I've been a comic fan, my whole life since I was a kid, and I've read a ton of MODOK stuff. I'm not like, oh my God, they changed MODOK. MODOK is a ridiculous character to begin with. It's a giant head with tiny little arms and tiny little legs. And yeah, he could be terrifying and threatening, but let's not act like they took Dr. Doom and turned him into a Scooby-Doo villain. Like,
MODOK is not the major threat to the Avengers.
Yeah. But even with that said, like, I didn't like how they ended his thing where he was doing the like, oh, I'm part of the Avengers, and granted, it was funny to see Ant-Man be like, yeah, sure. And they're like, we've always been, brothers, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought that was kind of dumb, but like the whole thing with him throughout it, where like every time he showed up and they would see him, they'd be like, wait, Darren? What?
I don't answer to that name.
Yeah.
MODOK. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, the one thing the one thing that really bothered me as a whole for the movie, even though I enjoyed it, is they kept talking, and it's not something that's specific to this movie. You see it in a lot of movies, and even in some of the comics too, where they have a villain and they talk about like how badass they are and how vicious they are and how strong they are, and they build them up and build them up and build them up. And then at the end, like, oh, there's the big fight, and like, yeah, they look like they're really strong, and then they just get kind of beaten. And I felt like they built this Kang up, and I know they're going to do more Kangs in the future, but they built this one up like he's the conqueror. He's the one the other Kangs are afraid of. He's talking about how many Avengers he kills. Even when he's fighting Ant-Man, he's like, you think you can beat me? Like, you talk to ants. And then he just gets beaten by Ant-Man at the end. So I felt like they built him up to be so much of a badass that he's like killed all these other Avengers, and all the other Kangs are afraid of him. And then,
let me
taken out like that.
Let me ask you this: with that final fight scene and the end result, where he is pulled in, what was it? Pulled into the battery, basically.
Yeah, I forget exactly what they call it, like the quantum battery or something like that.
Do you think he's dead? That variant of Kang, do you think he's toast?
I did read, a rumor online, and of course, like all rumors, especially this early, you have to take it with a grain of salt, or
pretty big one.
Yeah, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but it is a cool sounding idea, and it would be plausible since they're doing the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. And what I read was that Kang is going to turn out to not really be dead, that he's going to get, that when he gets sucked into that battery, he's going to later on end up emerging with all this power, and he's going to become the Beyonder. And he'll be the Beyonder, and that's because they're doing Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars, right? That's the order. Yeah, so it would be the Kang Dynasty with all the Kangs that you saw presumably in
Immortus and
Immortus, the Scarlet, or their version of Scarlet Centurion, even though he wasn't in any kind of Scarlet outfit. Ramatut, one of the other Kangs, that all of them there, but I guess it would be like them in Kang Dynasty and like all the movies leading up to that, and then presumably this Kang would emerge at the end of it, and he's now the Beyonder, and then he does that sets off Secret Wars. Again, you take it with a grain of salt because it's very early on. But
That's good speculation, though.
But yeah, I mean, whoever came up with that, like I said, it's a rumor, but it could be just some guy in his basement that was like, I think this is cool, so I'm going to put it out as a rumor I heard. But it does sound cool, so
All
we'll.
right. All
So
right.
what about
So
you? What was your thoughts on it?
yeah, so I took my kids to see it, and we had a blast. This was a movie they were looking forward to. This is our first big movie of the year. And honestly, what the thing I was looking forward to the most was MODOK on screen. As soon as I saw him in the trailer with and without the face, I was like,
Yeah,
that's it right there. That is extremely awesome. And I was not disappointed. I loved every minute that MODOK was on screen, every minute of it, from the tiny little ass shaking all the
yeah.
way to the I'm not a
You,
dick.
they
Uh,
almost that was great too. He's like, I'm not a dick. They almost cut that scene. The
I'm
one with
glad they didn't, because
and
that
it was Corey Stoltz, the actor that played him, that convinced him. Is like, you got to keep this in.
that's so perfect. It's so
Yeah,
perfect. And MODOK was wonderful. The quick origin of how he came to be. I don't think we've seen the end of MODOK either. I don't think that they would take a character that has so much history in Marvel and just have him be a one and done in a stepping stone movie. I don't think they're going to do that. I
I don't
think
know.
MODOK will come back.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, I could see him coming back, but they've also had, a lot of characters that were essentially one and dones that had, that were bigger deals in the comics than MODOK.
That's true. That's
I
true.
mean, even though Red Skull, showed up as the keeper of the Soul Stone, like
Yeah.
that really, he was essentially one and done in the first Cat movie, and
Yeah, very true.
so
Well, okay, so that makes sense. But as far as the rest of it goes, I think that it was very good with the humor that
yeah,
they
it
put in. I think it was great with the action.
was a good
Um,
balance.
yeah, very much so, very much so. And there was enough dramatic bits to kind of keep grown-ups entertained.
Yeah.
Me as a comic book fan, obviously, I was entertained from start to finish. I had a good time. I had a lot of fun watching the movie. I don't really have many complaints. I loved Bill Murray's short bit in there. I think that he did a great job with the short time he had, and I love the fact that the little creature that he was eating that
Oh yeah.
was
Got
grown to
yeah.
ginormous size was the one that grabbed him, but it didn't eat him. So we may see more of him. I don't know. But Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van
Oh,
Dyne,
great.
perfect. And they gave they alluded to the fact that she and Kang may have been a little bit closer
Yeah, a little bit
than
more than friends.
yeah, than what was shown on screen, and I like that aspect. I think that that's cool.
Michael Douglas was really good too. Like because just when he would have
Holy
lines
shit, that
when he
guy's
was
made
just,
of broccoli.
oh yeah, I love that line. He's like, because he's just kind of talking and doing this, like, oh shit, that guy looks like broccoli.
Yeah, it,
It was so funny. That was a definite laugh out loud moment. But just some of the stuff, like in the end when he goes like, I like ants. Like
right.
just, you know,
Exactly. And the relationship building, I think with what the movie is a stepping stone movie. It's the start of phase 5. It's the big introduction for Kang, more so than Loki season 1. And the movie does exactly what it set out to do, right? It set up Kang, it established the fact that this guy is incredibly dangerous and could be more dangerous than Thanos.
and there's
And I'm yeah, and there's a lot of them, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that. But also, I saw a complaint where somebody was throwing a fit. They're like the whole movie took place in the quantum realm. It doesn't have anything to do with the MCU as a whole. I was like, dude,
what?
what's
Didn't
that
you watch them?
say?
I heard that complaint too, and I was like, "Did you see the trailers? Did you see the name of the movie?
The
Did you have any like?" everything told you it was going to take place. Like, I don't think there was a single scene in any of the trailers that took place like on Earth. It was all in the
In
quantum
the
realm.
quantum realm, exactly. The movie, I think, delivered exactly what it set out to do. It did exactly what it said it was going to do, and I think it did a very good job of it. Was it perfect? No. But was it horrible? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My complaints are very small, and I think more than most, it's those bits where it looks like green screen, like you can tell.
Yeah,
And that was towards the end, like when they were in the big major battle
yeah,
and
there was
stuff
just
like
a
that.
couple spots where I could like where I really noticed it. But I mean,
Yeah.
but the rest of the special effects, I saw somebody else complaining online where they're like, "Oh, the whole movie was shot in front of a green screen and blah blah." I'm like, "Did you see Avengers Endgame? Like, have
Any
you
of
seen
the previous movies?
yeah, have you seen like everybody loves that movie and rightly so. It's great. Like, but have you seen the photos where they're shooting it? It's all on green screen where they just have like, some stuff built there, like, mounds of dirt and stuff for them to
Yeah.
interact with, but like everything's on a green screen.
You just look at them people and be like, "Guy, guess what? All the rocks they're standing on are made out of styrofoam.
Yeah.
It's not real, buddy."
It was great when he turned in, got giant at the end of it too.
Yes. Oh,
Especially when you're thinking like, yeah, he's giant, but he's still in the microverse, so he's still infinitesimally small.
I read somewhere, guys, we're not going to put sources or anything like that. This is, I heard it from a friend who heard it from
Yeah.
somebody's dad who read it online from a scooper.
I
Yeah,
probably read it on CBR or Twitter.
exactly. So I read somewhere that they said that if Scott Lang were to have grown to that size in the real world, it would have been the tallest he'd ever been.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it looked like that.
he exceeded his height in Endgame and in Civil War. So
I was gonna say, I would like to at some point in the movies see them kind of do what they did with him in the comics, where like at first he needed to use the Pym particles, but it got to the point where he used them so much that he just had the power in him where he didn't need to use them. He would just be able to, to have the power to shrink
yeah.
and grow at will.
I like the whole bit of when she grew, his daughter Cassie, when she grew and then, they both shrunk back down. She's like, "Man, I could go for some limes right now." And he's like,
Oh
"Right?
yeah, yeah. He's like,
Citrus."
yeah, yeah. Citrus is really, you get really craving for citrus.
Okay, so Dan, let's bring this to a close. Scale of 1 to 10, Ant-Man Quantumania. What do you give it?
Scale of 1 to 10, I would say I keep I keep hovering between like 7.5 out of 10 and 8 out of 10. So I'm just gonna say 8 out of 10 because it was a fun movie.
Okay.
Like you said, it builds a lot of stuff for future movies, which I know people complain about, and I get it too that a movie should be able to stand on its own without having to look at it as just something towards the next thing. But I think the movie does stand on its own. It's a lot of fun. It's got good humor. It's got good action. And like I said, I really enjoyed the stuff between him and his daughter, and like his daughter and Hank and Janet and Hope, and like just all of them like becoming more of a family unit, and essentially like their own little kind of superhero family. So I'll say an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. All right. So I think I'm right there with you, Dan. I know we gave different scores on an episode of After Dark, but I'm gonna say 8.5, 8.5 easy, and that's not just to give it a little bit higher grade. The only reason that point 0.5 is for my kids. We had such a good time watching it. I left the theater very happy. It's a movie that I want to go see again. Uh, it's good, guys. It's good if you shut your brain off, shut your critical thinking off, and enjoy the movie for what it is. Like Dan, like you said, it stands on its own 2 feet very, very well. And the movie does exactly what it set out to do, which is be the start of phase 5. So yeah, Dan, 8 from you. From me, it gets an 8 to an 8.5. The 0.5 is for the kids. So
I was going to say one more thing too. It's funny because people always, like Kang had the thing in it where he's like, "You think you could beat me? Like you talk to ants," and there's the thing like, "Oh, it's Ant-Man, he's a throwaway." But when you look at his movies, like, it was the first movie of his that closed out Phase 2.
yeah,
It was the second movie that, well, really just the bonus scene in the second movie where he went into the quantum realm and they all disappeared, but really set up a major thing for Endgame, where he was maybe the most critical character in Endgame for what they were able to do. So yeah, for this movie, I'd say I'd rank, of the three movies, I'd say I'd still rank the first Ant-Man as the best.
agreed.
And then I'd rank this one right after it, and then the second one there. So I'd go Ant-Man, then Quantumania, then Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I am right in line with you on that. Absolutely. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's safe to say that we give it a very well-deserved 8 to 8.5 for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. We're going to get out of here. We've got some Quantumania-ing to do ourselves. But before we do, Dan, let people know where they can find you when you're not doing Codex stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Check out the scroll below. You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Just search hashtag Dan Kelly Art. I post mostly my art, but a little bit of my music a few days a week. So check it out. Commissions are open. Just like, share, subscribe, and send me a message, and let me know what you're looking for.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on all the socials. All you have to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where we are. All your favorite social media platforms, all your streaming platforms that you're watching this on right now. Hit that like, share, subscribe, and follow. It definitely helps with the algorithms on all your favorite streaming platforms and lets them know that we deserve to be shown to more people just like you. Also, don't forget, we have a website that is thecodexstation.com. Go there, get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, thecodexstation.com. I know there is an awesome shirt on its way.
A limited edition shirt that should be there. Jamie says should be there at the end of the month.
End of March, if you're watching. Yeah,
end of March for a limited time. So keep an eye out and get yours while you can. You're going to want it.
There you go. And also, Dan, let them know about our sponsor real quick, what they can do and how much they can save.
Yep, you can go to the website below, w.gg. Use the code CODEX, CODE-X at checkout and save 10% on your order. You can get these powder energy drink mixes that are really good. You get a tumbler with it. You get some other merch. They have an awesome logo that you would be very happy to wear. So check it out, save some money, and don't get that jittery feeling when you want to stay up late.
There you go. And also, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, our first sponsor, heroescornercomics.com. Go there, get some awesome comic books, get the Codex bundle, use the keyword Codex with no hyphen to save 20% store-wide. All right, Dan, let's get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim. Right next to me is Dan Kelly, the awesome, insane artist on Instagram. This is Codex Reviews. We just got done talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and we will see you next time.